Well, good morning and thank you for joining us. This is the first Friday Forum in 2021. My name is Neela Molgard. I'm the Executive Director of Launch Minnesota, an initiative of our state's Economic Development and Employment Agency. Launch is focused on growing our state's innovation ecosystem. In our first year, we focused on three things: increasing access to capital, creating a statewide network, connecting all 6 regions of Minnesota, creating a hub and spoke model with 60 program partners, who many you'll hear from today, and working with our partners to develop educational resources and support to help our entrepreneurs start and scale. We definitely need to make it easier for our entrepreneurs, startups, and others in our startup community to find answers and plug in. The Friday Forum is just one way we're trying to make that happen. Every month, I invite public and private partners to highlight topics facing our startup community. It's an opportunity to learn, make new connections, and ask some questions. Launch Minnesota, we are continuously listening to our startup community. We've asked our innovation grantees, what tools, resources, or organizations do you think are missing from Minnesota's entrepreneurial ecosystem? And what do you still need to succeed? The responses so far have really focused on 4 broad topic areas. 41% of the respondents say funding. No surprise. We will be talking about that shortly. 32% on connections to different resources and entities, 17% on collaboration amongst our ecosystem entities, and 9% regarding promotion and publicity. It's really affirming that the goals of Launch Minnesota are aligned with these needs, and we are working right now with partners to address them. There is still, though, a lot of work ahead of us. Today, we are fortunate to be joined by many talented individuals representing various programs and organizations to share how they are helping meet these needs of our startups. The first part of the agenda will be focused on access to funding. The second portion will be ways that you can connect, collaborate, and engage in our ecosystem. We want this to be interactive. I will be monitoring the chat throughout, and we'll definitely leave time at the end for additional questions and opportunities to share updates. To kick off the first section, I would like to provide some details on Launch Minnesota's innovation grants. Hopefully you're all well aware of these by now. The legislators allocated $1.6 million each year for innovation grants to high-tech innovative startups. So far, we have allocated $2.4 million to about 80 grantees, and there'll be another announcement later this month on the next batch. We still have dollars available, so anyone interested in submitting grants, they can submit now through the end of February, and those will be reviewed in March. I will share some links to these grant applications in the chat, but next I'm going to kick it off with our first speaker. Good news, the Angel Tax Credit is back in 2021, and I have Stefan Wolf, one of my colleagues at DEED, with us that are going to walk through some highlights. Stefan?
Thank you, Neela. Thank you, Neela. Thank you so much for allowing me to share some information with you. I'm going to share the slide deck here with you. As Neela said, my name is Stefan Wolf, and I work with the Angel Tax Credit Program and a number of other grant and programs at DEED. The Angel Tax Credit Program started back in 2010. Since then, it's helped about 500 businesses receive nearly $500 million in capital. And what it is it's a 25% refundable tax credit for investors who make qualifying investments in small businesses. It really is a program that helps emerging businesses attract the capital they need to fuel their business growth. So for 2021, we have approximately $10.3 million in funding. And for simplicity's sake, I'll use the term general funds and reserve funds. So what we do is we'll take half that money and set it aside for reserve credits. And those reserve credits are for businesses that are at least 51% minority or women owned and managed, or businesses that are located in greater Minnesota. The other $5 million is available to all businesses. So we're about 3 weeks into the program this year, and we've already allocated approximately 40% of our general credits. So we started with 5.3 million, we have 3.1 left. So there's also the other 5 million for reserved credits for reserved target businesses. And there's still about 4.8 million. So what will happen is those reserve credits, if they go unused as of October 1st, they then become available to all businesses. So we're currently taking applications for the program, and we're also providing credit allocations daily. The program really is, it's 4 steps. The first step is that businesses, funds, or investors apply to the program for certification. The second step is they apply for a credit allocation. And what that does is that allows us to set the credit aside for 60 days to allow them time to make the investment. Once the business receives the investment, they'll provide us proof of that investment. And then both businesses and investors have to file an annual report. Part of receiving the tax credit, the investor is required to hold the investment for 3 years, or they would be subject to repay the credit. And the business has to maintain their headquarters and 51% of their employees and their payroll here in the state of Minnesota. Otherwise, they would be subject to repay the credit. So for a business to qualify, it's a pretty straightforward process. You have to raise less than $4 million previously, have less than 25 employees, have greater than 50% of your employees and payroll in the state of Minnesota, been in operation less than 10 years, or 20 if the business is seeking FDA approval. And the business types are high-tech businesses, and then also businesses that provide a proprietary product or service in specified industries. There is a cost to participate in the program. The certification fee for a business is $150, but that allows them to be certified for the entire year, and that allows them to leverage the program. An investor can be either accredited or non-accredited, and there are certain investors that are not eligible, such as insiders, officers, principals, or family members. They have to make a minimum investment of $10,000. If they're investing in a targeted business, the threshold is lowered to $7,500. And there also is a cost of participation for an investor, and that's $350. Funds can also make investments. It's required that a fund has at least 3 investors, and the fund must make a minimum investment of at least $30,000. And the certification fee is $1,000. One thing to keep in mind is that any participant that wants to receive a tax credit has to be a natural person. The program is staffed by 3 of us, Sarah, myself, and Jeff Nelson. And then on this slide here, you'll see there's some links in our contact information. I'll be happy to share that in the chat and take any questions as they come. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next, I have the pleasure of introducing Reed Robinson with Groove Capital. I hear that you have some exciting news to share with us.
I do. I'll get to that in just a second, Neela. But when it's related to the angel tax credit, I just have to say that that is one of the game-changing tools that we've used from a fundraising perspective to activate new investors. So as far as resources that we all have available to us, though the timing looks like it's going to be evaporating very quickly, which is great news, it is a very, very significant motivation for people signing up. So Stefan and the team have been amazing, and it's a really important program. So thank you for all the work there. Yeah, as it comes to fundraising, we just announced our first close. So the last time Neela invited me to join this was kind of an idea. And now we actually have funds available to make investments. So first close, if you're not familiar with the jargon, just means that I'm far enough along in the fund where we decided we're just going to go and start executing. I'll continue to raise, the total fund size, but committed to date is 3.8 million. And now we have what we need to start making investments. So my goal with this conversation this morning is, number one, to make sure that everybody in this call who has their ear to the ground in the different parts of Minnesota is aware that Groove Capital is a resource. And then start the conversation in how can we be a great resource for you, your communities. We still need a lot of work that we have to do as far as getting you documentation and getting you the kind of basics of who we are and how we intend to work. But from a very high level perspective, Group Capital is designed to be where Minnesota entrepreneurs get their first institutional investment. So we're intentionally coming for a little earlier stage than where most tend to play. Our strategy is to make 50 plus investments within the next 3 years. The way that it works is there's a fund. The fund makes an investment from 50 to 100,000. There's also an adjacent angel group. So working together, the total sum of the investment kind of comes out of that group as one line item. TBD on what that total investment will be worth. But the exciting part is we kind of have a couple ways to generate some investment for either you or the companies that you work with. So our goal in rolling this out in the next month and two is to make sure that we're establishing relationships, not just in the Twin Cities, but in greater Minnesota as well. I'm going to be leaning in heavily to the innovation grant program and keeping an eye on some of the companies that are receiving grants. I also, when it's possible, would love to visit you and your co-working spaces, and in the meantime, host virtual meetings for you and your constituencies as well. So know that's on the table. The best way to get a hold of me is just via email. It's Reed, R-E-E-D, at groovecap.com. I'll throw it in the chat. Somebody hasn't already. And we're excited to get started. Neela started out with the problem that we're trying to solve of being a meaningful, consistent, reliable resource for entrepreneurs at a very critical stage. And now we're in a position where we can actually start making that impact. So I appreciate the opportunity to learn more about each of you and look forward to the opportunity to meet you and the startups that you work with.
Thank you so much, Reed, for really filling a gap in our ecosystem. And I assume Reed will have the details of the fund and how to reach him on our website. We'll include under capital and investors. You can go there to get his contact information and how to access those dollars. Because I know, yes, Reed?
Neela, in the meantime, sorry to interrupt. I should have mentioned some of the high level kind of criteria we're looking for.
Yeah.
Again, we'll develop greater documentation that will make sure that you get a chance to review. But in the meantime, it's not an idea on a napkin. This is a pre-seed stage. We're really looking for people that have put some work in and made some sacrifices in order to get a product off the ground or a service. We're industry agnostic as far as where we want to be investing. But the important thing to remember is, like, can this company be successful in Minnesota? And some companies have a greater opportunity to do that. Things in healthcare, financial services, food and agriculture, sports and fitness, enterprise SaaS. Thankfully, we have a really remarkable and robust business climate. So we have a lot of things that we can choose from. But we're really looking for excellent teams who have not just created a plan, but have been around long enough to demonstrate their ability to execute on a plan. So it takes a little while to get to this point. So we're probably going to be in a position where we're going to say no a lot, and that's okay. But hopefully provide some guidance as far as what the expectations are for an investment, and really try to fill a void on the education side in addition to the funding as well.
Thanks, Reed. And once again, he'll share more information in the chat, and we'll have it on our website so you know how to contact them. Next, we have Jade Parker with Silicon Prairie. And Jade, I believe you have some slides.
I do. I'll do a little intro and then I'll get some slides. I just have about 5 or 6 to get through, but in case you're not familiar with me, hi, I'm Jade. I'm from Silicon Prairie Portal and Exchange. We are a local financial technology startup. We're actually in our 5th year. Sometimes people get a little confused and think we're somehow a government agency or something. I just take that as a compliment that we've just come so far. People think of us as an institution, but we are a startup ourselves as well as a service provider in the community. So what we specialize in is investment crowdfunding, and we actually also have a couple other ways that we can help the community. So I will go ahead and start sharing my screen here. All right, so yep, we got started in 2016. If you are not familiar with investment crowdfunding, it's actually a relatively new and more inclusive way to raise funds for a business by either selling a piece of that upside or taking a loan from a crowd of regular and rich people. So what that means for you is if you're looking to raise funds, you do not have to wait until you've hooked a whale or an angel investor. A lot of times people don't even, if you're a new entrepreneur, know the math of it. If I was going to give you $1 million today, would you, without a doubt, know how to triple that in as little as 5 years? If you cannot do that math, you may be too early to get angel investment. And that's really 98% of businesses are in that space. Or maybe you're not in a high-tech, high-growth area. You could be a Main Street business and use investment crowdfunding. You could be in that other 98% of businesses and use investment crowdfunding because you don't have to go find one wealthy investor. You can actually build your raise from a crowd of regular people as well. So, and the beauty of that with investment crowdfunding is you as the business get to decide what to sell. You don't have to go hat in hand saying, here, take what you think is fair. I hope it's okay terms. You get to decide. So if you want to sell equity like Shark Tank, you can. If you don't want to sell equity, you can just get a loan from a crowd of people. 100 people at $1,000 each will get you to $100,000. You can do a convertible note or a safe unit, just like you've heard of Y Combinator, those sort of things. The rule of thumb to remember is that if you don't have a bank or an angel investor that's going to fund you for $100,000, the easy math is just 100 people at $1,000 each will get the same type of deal done. And so we see a lot of people that are like, no, I just want to go get some strategic money. I'm pretty sure I can go out to Silicon Valley and they're just going to rain easy money down on me. And unfortunately, what we see is people literally come back 18 months almost every single time and they're out of cash, they're out of steam, they're out of runway. It's way better to come talk to somebody early. You can use investment crowdfunding as your seed stage and then go get angel investment, venture capital, or go public later. This can be part of that journey. It's not in place of that journey. So overall, if you want to use investment crowdfunding, there's a few steps because selling a financial security is a complicated sort of thing. The Securities Exchange Commission cares a lot about how you sell a piece of the upside of your business. That's all they do for a living. So there are some lawyers in the loop. There's a real bank in the loop. Overall, it's signing a contract to onboard with us. You're going to have to do some homework with a securities attorney. We can recommend one, or you can bring your own to the table. But the goal is to provide a private placement memorandum and get that to the correct regulator. So if you've heard of Minvest, in that case, that would be the Minnesota Department of Commerce. If you've heard of the national options like regulation crowdfunding, that's FINRA, the same people that regulate Wall Street. Overall, once you have that effective exemption from registration with the SEC, then you can go publicly solicit for that investment. This is what allows you to go on Facebook and ask for investment, or go to an event and talk to people you've never met, or put a banner on the side of the building, like the neighborhood, become an owner. Okay, and basically we go ahead and put that money into an escrow account created on behalf of the campaign. Once you hit a certain minimum, the investors sign their subscription agreement and we release funds to the business for use. So it can actually be one of the fastest ways to get funds in. Instead of angel investment or venture capital, you might be pounding the pavement for a year and not have any traction. We've seen investment crowdfunding deals fund in as little as a month. There's a lot of different ways to put together your deal. You might have real reasons to want as many brand advocates as possible. So you can put together a deal with 100 people at $1,000 each. Or you might not be in a position where you want to go publicly solicit and go ask everybody for money. You might just want to get 5 friends together to buy an apartment complex. That's okay too. We can handle all that. Usually what we see is kind of a mix of peas and carrots, usually some bigger chunks and some smaller chunks. And of course, you actually can allow angel investors and accredited or certified rich people in on the cap table here as well. They may come in at a more granular dollar amount in order to kind of track your progress as you go on. So the question is, Are you looking for at least $50,000 to $5 million? Either you don't have a bank or an angel investor interested yet, or you have a very real need to keep control of your deal very specifically. But you do have to be willing to market the deal or hire somebody to market the deal. So I think that's all I'm going to give you guys. I will go ahead and put our link for our Friday open office hours. We literally do them every single Friday. So if you have more questions, you can actually join us for that after this.
Thank you, Jade. Very informative. And next, we're going to have Pat Dillon with MNSBIR talk about the incredible resources that she provides our startup community. And Pat, you have to tell them how much federal dollars you've raised, been able to help bring in 2021.
Well, it's 3.9 million through the accelerator, but overall it was 13 million for all companies in Minnesota.
Right, incredible to have that
fiscal 21. Yes, very, very important. So good morning, everyone. As you know, I'm Pat Dillon. Today, I'm going to share with you how our tax dollars are invested in small startups and existing companies to research, develop, and commercialize novel products and services that impact our economy and the worldwide economy as a whole. As the founder and director of the Minnesota SBIR STTR Accelerator, aka MNSBIR, we have helped 50 companies, excuse me, win 35 million in SBIR funding since 2014. It is a team effort, with us serving as a Sherpa for those companies to navigate through the government processes, systems, and requirements before and after award. Our decades of knowledge and experience and relationships have led to significant private investments, mergers and acquisitions, intellectual property, licenses, launch of new products and services, and the growth of small businesses. The first step in our accelerator is to apply. The project pitch is used to determine the readiness of the firm to start their journey. We review the responses to their market opportunity, the company and the team, the proposed technological innovation, and the proposed R&D plan. We evaluate the firm's fit with one or more of the 11 federal participating agencies. After the approval, the real work begins with an informational session followed by hands-on guidance and assistance for each firm that's targeting a particular agency. And we augment our expertise with outside consultants when needed. The goal is to win federal funding to de-risk the technology for future commercialization. Now, we work a lot with the University of Minnesota and Mayo Clinic spinoffs, and certainly firms in the private sector, both startup and existing companies. And the accelerator is financially supported by the Small Business Administration, the Minnesota Department of Employment and Economic Development, Launch Minnesota, the University of Minnesota, and the Technology Commercialization Office, and the Home Center for Entrepreneurship, and the Mayo Clinic Office of Entrepreneurship. I encourage you to look more at our website, and if you want to reach out, I'll put my email address into the chat box, and I'll be happy to answer any specific questions that you might have. I will say that the SBIR and STTR programs are extremely competitive, and so we try to do a great job of making sure that whoever's coming into the accelerator really does have a great chance of being successful. And it may not happen on the first time, but it may happen certainly on the second time or even maybe the third time of a proposal submission.
Thank you so much, Pat. Thank you so much. And when is your next accelerator starting?
There's 2 cohorts going on right now. So the next accelerator cohort start in April.
Okay. And we'll have details on the website about that also, and we'll share that in our e-news. Thank you very much, Pat.
Yep.
Next, we have Twyla Kennedy with the SBA. We know whether you're a startup or some of the organizations that are joining us today, the co-working spaces and accelerators, this type of funding is critical to know about to make sure you're not missing anything. Twyla, I'll hand it over
Yes.
to you.
Thanks, Neela. I always love it when Pat Dillon's on a panel, so I don't have to worry about fielding those questions about the SBIR program. So, Pat, I appreciate that. So SBA's funding is going to be more traditional. So I've got three basic programs that I'm going to talk about. The first one I'll mention is our microloan program. So the microloan program is one that is handled by 9 microlenders around the state of Minnesota. They all cover a geographic area. And those microlenders can do loans up to $50,000, although I will say the average is about $20,000, but they don't need a whole lot of collateral. So what's really great for a startup is that those loans can be $500, they could go up to $50,000, and you don't need to have lots of collateral to get in there. The other piece that's really nice, and Neela mentioned the need for assistance, the microloan program comes with technical assistance. So SBA provides grant dollars to our SBA microlenders to help small businesses do some of the financial planning, some of the business planning on the front end, and then on the back end, helping them make sure they have accounting systems set up. They'll do a lot of follow around on the backside to make sure that taxes are being paid. You know, that's one of those things that can get small businesses in trouble is if they miss some of those important things on the backside. So our microloan program can be really helpful for startups that don't have a lot of collateral. The next program we have is our 7A guaranteed loan program. So with that program, you would be working with a lender from around the state. We work with almost all of the 350 plus lenders in the state of Minnesota. We also work with some CDFIs, which are really great for startups because they really seem to have an understanding of getting capital in the hands of some businesses that are less seasoned. And then we also work with credit unions. So any of those lenders are going to know about SBA's 7A loan program. But the beauty of the 7A program is because we're providing a guarantee to the lenders, they're more comfortable taking on a little more of that risk that comes from working with startup companies. From a use of proceeds perspective, a 7A loan can be used from anything for working capital all the way up to real estate. And the term of those loans is going to basically depend on what is being, what the use of funds is being used for. So whatever the project is. So if you've got a real estate project, that term could be up to 25 years. If you're doing something more along the lines of funding capital or equipment purchases or furniture and fixtures, it's probably going to look more like a 5 to 7 year loan. Loans are going to have a variable rate. The SBA does put a cap on how much the lenders can charge for interest, but they are capped. The other nice thing about the 7A program is that it gives the lenders some flexibility that maybe they would not have if they were doing a regular commercial loan within their bank. Within the 7A program, we also have some export lending that occurs, and that gets done sort of hand in hand. The state of Minnesota has a STEP grant with SBA as well that helps with some of the export funding. And one of the SBA export loans, because there are 3 of them, one of them can actually be used for you to take a trade mission to another country and check out the market and see if your product could potentially be exported there. And again, that's all part of our 7A program that would be done through one of the lenders around the state of Minnesota. The other program that we have would be our 504 program. That one can be used by startups, but that particular program is for purchasing real estate by and large. So the term on that loan is going to be 10, 20, or 25 years. But what's really kind of exciting about the 504 program for small business owners is that it's a 3-prong approach. So there's going to be a lender in a first position on the property that's going to have about 50% of that property. They're going to be doing a regular commercial loan. On the back end of it is going to be the business owner. As a startup, you would come in with at least 15% of equity injection into the project, but in the middle is going to be the SBA's portion of the project. We take a second position on the property. You get a loan that has a fixed interest rate for that 10, 20, or 25-year term. And that interest rate right now has been running at about somewhere between 2 and 3%. So it's been pretty low. So
All right.
those are our programs that we have.
Thank you, Twyla. And we're running a little bit over on time in this portion, but I just wanted to throw it out if there was any questions that you had for any of the panelists right now. We'll also save time at the end, or if there was any questions to any of these panelists, please put them in the chat if you'd prefer that. But they're a good resource to have right now. Okay. We are going to move to the second portion of the agenda, and we are going to highlight the Launch Minnesota Network. Now, each of you are going to have a sneak peek of our new hubs and program partners. It has not gone into the press release is still not out, so you get to meet them first. But this network was formed in March of 2020, and truly it's been incredible to see their progress as they face the many challenges of 2020. So I'm going to call on each of them so you can meet them, but really, you know, what's really important, I think, to share here today is what ways can people engage in the startup community in your region, you know, events, training, services, funds available. I know there's a lot of amazing things happening. So we're going to kick it off in the Twin Cities. We have Alex with us that's going to share some of the offerings that she has been working on with partners.
Hey everybody.
There's Alex.
Thanks.
And also
Good
just
morning.
want to commend Alex for helping co-host our co-working collaborative. We meet every month with co-working spaces across the state, and I see many faces right now that also join that monthly call. And she's just really helped continue this important dialogue, learning from the co-working spaces, learn from each other, share best practices, and it's I think helped during 2020 to have each other. So Alex,
Yeah.
Go ahead. Thank you.
Yeah, gestures wildly around all of this. Yes. Good morning, everybody. It's so good to see friendly, familiar faces and new faces. I'm Alex, co-founder and CEO of The Coven. We're a community and workspace centered on the experiences of women, non-binary, and trans folks. We have 2 locations, one in Minneapolis and one in St. Paul. And while our physical locations are open safely, if anybody's interested in a co-working community, we also are committed to providing resources, networking, and coaching for our members digitally. And so when we had to close our doors in March temporarily due to COVID, we were able to turn around a digital membership, which didn't exist before, but we went from hosting 2 to 3 events in person every week to 2 to 3 events per day. And so we've been really busy pumping out content, keeping our community really connected to one another. Our community has now grown globally. So we have folks in Australia who participate in the wee hours of the morning. And we have people from all over. So it's been a really interesting pivot in 2020. But I wanted to share a little bit about some of the ecosystem things that we've been working on and making sure that our entrepreneurs and leaders in our community have been staying connected. We serve both entrepreneurs and emerging leaders in the corporate world, partnering with organizations like Bremer Bank and 3M and others to provide leadership development opportunities. So not only are folks getting, you know, kind of basic entrepreneurial skills, but they're also understanding how to lead a team, how to hire inclusively, how to grow a community if that is a part of their work. So we've been creating these to help women, non-binary, and trans folks really step into their economic power and continue to build wealth, especially in this moment right now that we're having, where women are leaving the workforce at alarming rates due to the pandemic. So one way we've been able to do this is through programming in Hennepin County called Elevate Business. They originally supported entrepreneurs through the CARES Act in Q4 of last year, providing one-on-one technical assistance and educational webinars. The county has now extended that funding to continue supporting entrepreneurs. So if you know folks who are in Hennepin County, have them visit elevatebusinesshc.com for free one-on-one coaching with lots of different technical assistance providers, everything from attorneys to business coaches and beyond. The one unique thing about this is that because businesses like mine are really focused on equity and making sure that our networks are diverse and that we're providing culturally competent and sensitive programming. There's other providers like us too, Spanish language, Hmong centered, different types of segments to really support a broad number of businesses so that we can welcome in more entrepreneurs, something that Hennepin County hasn't done in the past. And so it's been really exciting to work alongside other diverse networks of individuals, including BIPOC businesses that traditionally have lacked that kind of culturally relevant support. The other thing I'll mention too is that there is a group of entrepreneurial support operators, many of whom are on the phone here. But a lot of us collaborate on a weekly basis. We've been meeting for just about a year now, right? It started with Launch Minnesota, kind of starting their grant process and seeing who in the Twin Cities wanted to participate in that. But it became a much bigger effort to make sure that the entrepreneurial support organizations who are supporting all of the entrepreneurs in the Twin Cities area had the support that they needed and the resources and kind of can help signal boost each other. So whether it's partnering on grant applications or solving internal and client problems, we've met weekly to really have each other's backs, and it's been a pretty cool group, very similar to the work that we're doing with Launch Minnesota and all of the co-working spaces in the state. So one way we've lifted our community together is through a series called Fix It Friday. It's something that the Coven and Lunar Startups have connected and collaborated on, but we've also worked with many of our other partners, again, some of who are here. We produce a series of thoughtful conversations with experts from all over the country, many who've become funding and or ecosystem partners for us and our entrepreneurs. So from Backstage Capital's Arlen Hamilton and other VCs in the Valley and beyond, all the way to super hyper local like Pimento Kitchens, Tommy Beavis. So it's been a really incredible series, and we hope you all can join us.
Thank you, Alex. I'm sorry, we have
keep
a lot more people to go through, and we have 20 minutes now. So it's so many wonderful things to share, but I'm going to have to really keep people on the two-minute updates. Okay. And did you share from Connie's update, or was Connie, did you also have an update?
I have a few things to share from some other partners as well as Finovation Lab.
Okay. Just if you could make it really
as quick as I can.
Okay, thank you.
I wanted to focus on, there are a lot of applications open for accelerators and other kinds of sustained support programs for entrepreneurs. And so I just wanted to give some awareness on that, and then the links will show up in the chat. But to start with, the Bold Growth Program from Imbold, that application closes next week on January 31st. That's for food and ag companies that are really growing quickly, so over 5 million in revenue. And then the Lunar Startups Cohort 4 application is open and closes February 1st. They're looking for companies with market traction and a specific focus on CPG and tech-enabled companies this year. Beta.mn also has an application open for their spring cohort, and that closes February 14th. And that's for founding teams that are looking to prepare for the next stage of growth. And then Mini Demo is, if you haven't ever done a mini demo, it's a great opportunity to kind of see what technology projects people are working on. And they have a Back to Campus one that's coming up in March, but the application to demo is February 16th. And then G-Beta MedTech Accelerator, their application closes February 21st. That's for healthcare startups, and that's partnered with UEL at the university, so it includes lab space. And then looking ahead, Finovation Lab, our two primary programs, their application season is in April and May. That's when that opens. So the Finovation Fellowship is for early stage social entrepreneurs. It's 9 months long, provides a living stipend, workspace, and curriculum. And then Impact SKU is for purpose-driven CPG companies. And that's a 12-week program. And that's for companies that are a little further along. They have some revenue, but they're ready to kind of accelerate their growth. And then last but not least, I wanted to share that we are also launching a virtual membership, which connects entrepreneurs with experts in the community, whether that's legal or accounting, all the way up to branding and strategic growth help. So take a look for that. We're launching a Eureka newsletter that's specific for entrepreneurial resources and tips, and we will keep it updated with virtual membership options. That launches in February.
Very informative. Wow. And I see that Meg has put all those links in our chat. And I just want to also introduce Meg, who's you see in the chat room. She's with Forge North, and she is our hub for Launch Minnesota that helps coordinate the Twin Cities region. And so you've just met two of those partners, and just thank Meg for her continued partnership. We're going to move to the University of Minnesota. We have John Stavig and Russ. I don't know which one wants to go first with some updates of things that are upcoming that people should know about.
Go ahead, John.
All right. Good morning, Neela. Can you hear me okay?
Perfect.
Trying to juggle between two connections, so hopefully that'll work. Primary point I want to talk about is the lean startup classes that are being offered in February. So we've got, and I just put a link in the website, and you can go to the webpage and see the value proposition design classes. So it's a similar format for two sets of classes. One is intensive and gives you homework, mentoring, and enough time to complete some of the customer discovery work. So that starts February 10th. There's also a shortened version of the value proposition design webinar that starts February 22nd. It's a 4-week session. So these are really taking classes we've developed at the University of Minnesota over the last 10 years and worked with over 400 concepts to test them, really around teaching them through the customer discovery process, finding product market fit, and coming up with a commercialization pathway. So a great resource, whether people are just thinking about an early idea and want to understand some of the concepts, or whether they really want to drill into it in more detail and start to get some mentoring. So these are all free resources and available.
Great.
And then feed into, from a timing standpoint, we're less than 2 months away from the Minnesota Cup launching. Applications will be open March 15th for that. So we've supported over 16,000 entrepreneurs and given out over 4.5 million in non-dilutive cash funding. So that's something to put on the radar screen for the companies you're working with. Applications, again, will be open in March 15th and be due by April 17th. Russ, you want to talk about your piece?
You bet, John.
John, we've had great feedback from attendees of these classes of Carla's, so thank you for this. Russ.
Yeah, hey, good morning, everyone. Russ Strati. So for those of you that don't know me, I think a little background here would be helpful. I run the Venture Center, which is part of the University of Minnesota's Technology Commercialization Group. That particular group in the Venture Center is captive to only University of Minnesota startups. Our business model is that we're a self-funded group, and we're funded by the income that comes off the license agreements when we license the technology into these startups. So therefore, we are captive to that particular group. We recognized, though, 3 years ago that, of course, as Neela said, finding capital is really important. And very honestly, there's not a whole lot we can do about that. But what we can do and could do is prepare our startups to be better positioned to be able to raise that and get access to that capital, be better positioned to be able to tell their story, represent their business in a proper way, such that investors would get interested in the opportunity. So we launched and started an incubator called the Discovery Launchpad program. And so far we've taken about 20 plus 25 of our startups through in the last 2 years through that program, many of which have gone on to now apply for Launch Minnesota grant funding, as well as pitch to other investors in the local community, as well as outside of Minnesota, and have done really well at raising money and positioning themselves. And we credit that a lot to the fact that the program gets them ready and makes them prepared to be able to tell the story for their business around the value proposition, the business model, and then they're prepared to be able to represent all of that to these investors with a proper data room, so that when due diligence happens, the investor sees and has access to information in a timely, efficient manner, and it looks very professional. So with the help of Launch Minnesota, we're experimenting with a program for this calendar year 2021, where we're going to expand that program and offer it to non-University of Minnesota startups. Now, one of the challenges of this program is that it's not a cohort, it is a one-on-one program. And the reason we did it that way for our startups is that there is so much diversity in our startups, and diversity in terms of sector focus, in terms of technology that they're working on, but maybe as important or more important is the skill level and experience level of the management teams. So the program is one-on-one. We work with each individual company. We assess their gaps and their needs at the beginning. We then build a curriculum around those gaps and needs, and we take advisors out of our business advisory network, and we pay them a nominal amount of money to engage with our startups and then help them fill those gaps and get themselves better prepared. So with the help of Launch Minnesota and the work we're going in that program, we're going to open it up to between 10 and 15 companies in Minnesota. There's going to be some qualification for that program, and we're still working at getting the details of that out. But one of them is, of course, they're going to have to be grant awardees from Launch Minnesota. We're also going to have asked them to have participated in either the University of Minnesota statewide educational program or an equivalent program that's offered to Launch Minnesota equivalents. I believe it's the ITL or
ILT Studios.
ILT program. It will qualify for that as well. And then there's going to be some other qualifications, but as you can expect, this is a fairly heavy lifting kind of incubator because it's one-on-one. So unfortunately, we do have to limit it to a smaller number of companies versus the opportunity to give it out to a larger number. We are going to be leaning in heavily to companies that are minority and women-led. So just be aware of that. But you'll hear more about this starting right after the 1st of February. We're putting together some of the details, some materials, questions and answer documents and things like that. But we're excited to be able to expand the program and see how it goes and see if we can help.
We're very excited for this, for you to be able to expand also. And like Russ says, we'll be communicating this with our innovation grantees as more details are finalized, and all of you. We have 10 minutes left, and we have probably 10 people left to give updates. So I apologize. My timekeeping with everyone was not as successful today. I would go now because I see them. Red Wing Ignite. They any updates that you have? They had an amazing celebration last night of E1, their effort in Southeast Minnesota that they've named the E1 Collaborative. Stacy Nemo, Shannon Harris is on, and I see many of their program partners. So why don't, Stacy, you share a couple things that people should know about coming up?
Yes, thank you so much, Neela. Good morning, everyone. We are a collaborative of 16 partner organizations that span Southeast Minnesota, and I am so proud of the work that was accomplished and also the entrepreneurs that are coming out of our region. I think for the sake of time, Neela, what I can do is I will just put some links into the chat. The E1 does have a website. Within the next 2 to 3 weeks, we are going to have a very robust resource tab on our resource page. There's not much there right now, but it's currently about 8 to 10 pages long. And so we'll be adding that. And a couple of things that I thought I would mention. I know that Jamie with Collider is running an entrepreneurial course that just started. That is something they have offered before, and I would love to hear if maybe that will be an offering again. Red Wing Ignite will have a lean startup course that is being done in conjunction with ILT Studios. Applications are actually due today, and we are going to be extending that deadline into next week to allow a few more to apply. And then we have numerous pitch events that are on the calendar for this year, which is super exciting. The Assistive Tech Challenge will be happening again. One that is coming up within the next couple of months is the E1 Ignite Cup. we're excited about that. Our finalist will be an auto-qualified semifinalist for Min Cup, and we're grateful for that partnership. And you will see an announcement coming out about the application dates, which will open up in February. Thanks so much.
Thank you. And I would say to all of the regions that have joined this call, please put the links to your website, to your program in the chat now, just in case people have to drop off at 9:30. I will stay on and make sure we hear everyone's voices, but use the chat to share some links. Next, I see Larry with West Central. So he, with Greater St. Cloud Development Corp, he's the hub, and he works with many program partners across the region. Larry, is there any updates or?
Real quick updates. Thank you, Neela. Good morning, everybody. Just wanted to do a few things. Our ILT Academy Certificate Lean Innovation Program is underway, started January 5th. We are looking for mentors for that program. I'll put a link for signing up for mentorship. Also, our G-Beta Greater Minnesota St. Cloud program, our applications are open through February 12th. The program will be running from March to April. I'll put a link into the applications for that program as well. In 2021, we anticipate to reach out to over 200 individual entrepreneurs through our programming and offer over 8,000 hours of education and mentorship. I know time is tight, so I'll just leave it at that.
Wonderful, Larry. Great summary. Thank you. With Bemidji Launchpad, is it Tiffany today or Dave?
You have Tiffany today.
Hello. Any upcoming things this next month that people should know about?
Well, the only thing I really want to highlight today is that I believe it's our 12th year of the IDEA competition just kicked off. And from my knowledge, we have 13 applicants vying for the awards at the end of probably April-May timeframe, and a semifinalist going on to the Minnesota Cup. So we're really excited about this year's competition and what might come out of that, and being able to tap some of the Launch Minnesota resources for those individuals as they go forward.
Great, thank you, Tiffany. And in the Northwest region, they've implemented Now Navigators, and so now cities all across the region are working together to help support the entrepreneurs in the region. So you guys have done incredible work. So thank you, Tiffany.
Thank you.
I don't see Yvonne on. Is there anyone from the Southwest region? So Yvonne is the Mankato State University is our hub there and has many program partners, and more are joining every day. And then our new grantee, a new hub, is in Northeast Minnesota. Is Tamara on? I don't see Tamara. She might have had to drop off. Tamara is the hub with Itasca Economic Development Corp. And they also have program partners from Duluth up to the Iron Range. So it's a nice broad group of people. There's a few other resources that we wanted to get through. One is talent is so important when we're starting and growing and recruiting new businesses to Minnesota. I see that Becky put in the chat a link. I want to just remind you about SciTech Experience Program. I also know many of the universities that are on this call have really expanded their internship programs. But Becky, is there anything else they need to know besides that link and that you're there to answer any of their questions?
Yeah, we've actually changed the program name to just SciTech, so people don't have to remember the long-winded version. So it's just a SciTech internship program. We've got about 200 wage matches that are available between now and the end of August. I believe they're going to go pretty quickly, so if you're thinking about hiring an intern for either spring or you're going to want to get registered and get your posting up and probably make your hiring decision by mid-April.
Okay, your connection's a little poor, so maybe put that in the chat. Okay?
Okay.
Thank you. The other resource that I wanted to share to some of our startups, so you know it's available, is my colleague is on the line, Lawrence Rezatar with Minnesota Trade Office, and they provide grants and expertise to help expand your business. Lawrence, do you want to say just a few words and share some links?
Absolutely. It's a pleasure to see you all. And Neela, congratulations on a great first event in 2021 that everyone had so much news to share. I'm the Director of International Business Strategy in the Minnesota Trade Office, and in a word, or in a sentence, we bring Minnesota to the world and the world to Minnesota. So when you're thinking about your startups, when you're thinking about the companies you work with, a lot of times having a global footprint can happen a lot quicker than maybe a traditional product company where there's manufacturing. Earlier, you heard a mention about the SBA loans for exporting. In the state, we have something called the STEP grant, which is a matching grant program to help companies develop new markets or explore new markets. It doesn't have to involve travel. It can involve internationalizing your website or trying to figure out if your product or service can be offered in this other country, or how do you even deal with somebody who finds your service online and decides that they want to buy it, and you're navigating the difficulties of working with an international entity. So it's a matching grant program. I'll put the link in the chat that you all can get it to. Second, I wanted to talk about that we have these offices. We retain consultants in foreign markets that are available to use, and if you want to use them, you can get in touch with our office. I'll put a link to all the different representatives that are in our office. They are divided geographically, so our team has responsibility for either Europe or Africa or Asia, and you can come in, contact our office, and work with them. Thirdly, we do foreign direct investment promotion, so we try to get companies to come here. So it was exciting to hear about what Alex does with linking in the Aussie companies with the Coven. We're happy to work with small companies, big companies, anything. We're really we're fluent in empathy, and we're fluent in helping people understand what it means to try to work here, even if it's one person or two people. And we have these connections with other accelerators and groups abroad, and we want to tie them into Minnesota so that when they think of where can I go for an emerging technology in North America, that Minnesota comes up on their short list. And then finally, we have a number of events and virtual events that are going to be occurring globally. If you are interested in attending them, if an event comes across your desk that you would like to attend, even if it's a virtual global event, be in touch with our office, and we can do what we can to try to help get you to that event, prepare you for that event. If there's grant funding, matching grant funding we can provide, we'd like to provide that as well.
Thank you, Lawrence. Put the links in the chat. I did put the STEP grant information in the chat box. We have 1 minute, and I see an MBA student from the University of Minnesota that I've had the pleasure of working with, and thanks to the partnership with John Stavig and the Home Center, many people today have mentioned about mentorship, and we have partnered with the University of Minnesota, Launch Minnesota, we're in a soft launch of the Expert Exchange. And so Shubham is the expert in this and is an incredible resource. This will be a neutral platform for any of our partner organizations in our Launch Minnesota network or other partners to be able to use to send experts, mentors to that platform, and then also startups. And we will rely on you, our partners, to help vet those startups and those mentors. And you will have control of that platform also. So we want this to be a tool for our entrepreneurial support organizations to use, and to help increase the capacity that you're facing. So Shubham, is there anything, could you put the links in the chat? And I just wanted everyone to see her and meet her. Shubham, do you want to just introduce yourself so they know which one you are?
Yes,
when they
sure.
talk to
Thanks
you?
a lot, Neela. Thanks a lot, Neela. You kind of summarized it very well. So yeah, we have the soft launch ready, and we are working with a number of innovation grantees now. So if there are people that wants to have more mentors, and we would really suggest them to work with their program partners and come to us. And the intake form for both the mentors and the startups are there in the chat. So if that is something that the program partners want to advertise with their programs and in their cohorts, that is something that they can do. And yeah, we are ready for the mentorship program now.
Thank you so much. And so reach out if that is going to add value to your organization. Since we are at time, please ask any of your questions in the chat, and I will make sure that I get answers to you. I hope you found our time today valuable. that you learned something new or made a new connection. Please join us in February. We're going to be focused on the Min Cup competition. Not only the competition, how to engage, what's it about, but also hosting some of the founders that have been part of that and have really seen success, so our entrepreneurs can learn from their journey. Also, please follow us on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook. We want to know what you're doing so we can help elevate the work across Minnesota. So happy Friday. I hope you enjoy your weekend, and we'll see you on the 4th Friday in February.